On the Writs of Assistance, James Otis, delivered February 1761. May it please your honors, I was desired by one of the court to look into the books, and consider the question now before them concerning writs of assistance. I have accordingly considered it, and now appear not only in obedience to your order, but likewise in behalf of the inhabitants of this town, who have presented another petition, and out of regard to the liberties of the subject. And I take this opportunity to declare that whether under a fee or not, for in such a cause as this I despise a fee, I will to my dying day oppose, with all the powers and faculties God has given me, all such instruments of slavery on the one hand and villainy on the other, as this writ of assistance is. It appears to me the worst instrument of arbitrary power, the most destructive of English liberty, and the fundamental principle of law that ever was found in an English law book. I must therefore beg your honors' patience and attention to the whole range of an argument that may perhaps appear uncommon in many things, as well as the point of learning that are more remote and unusual, that the whole tendency of my design may that more easily be perceived. The conclusions better descend, and the force of them be better felt. I shall not think much of my pains in this cause, as I engaged in it from principle. I was solicited to argue this case as Advocate General, and because I would not, I have been charged with desertion of my office. To this charge I can give a very sufficient answer. I renounce that office, and I argue this cause from the same principle, and I argue it with the greater pleasure, as it is in favor of British liberty. At a time when we hear the greatest monarch upon earth declaring from his throne that his glories in the name of Britain and the privileges of his people are dearer to him than most valuable prerogatives of his crown, and as it is in opposition to a kind of power, the exercise of which in former periods of history cost one king of England his head and another his crown, I have taken more pains in this cause than I ever will take again, although my engaging in this and another popular cause has raised much resentment. But I think I can sincerely declare that I cheerfully submit myself to every odious name of conscience sake, and from my soul I despise all those whose guilt, malice, and folly has made them my foes. Let the consequences be what they will, I am determined to proceed. The only principles of public conduct that are worthy of a gentleman or a man are to sacrifice estate, ease, health, and applause, and even life, to the sacred cause of his country. These manly sentiments in private life make good citizens. In public life, the patriot and the hero, I do not say that, when brought to the test, I shall be invincible. I pray God I may never be brought to the melancholy trial. But if ever I should, it will then be known how far I can reduce to practice principles which I know to be founded in truth. In the meantime, I will proceed to the subject of this writ. In the first place, may it please your honors, I will admit that writs of one kind may be legal, that is, special writs directed to special officers and to search certain houses, etc. Specially set forth in the writ may be granted by the court exchequer at home, upon oath made before the Lord Treasurer by the person who asks it, and he suspects such goods to be concealed in those very places he desires to search. The Act of 14 Charles II, which Mr. Gridley mentions, proves this, and in the light the writ appears like a warrant from the Justice of the Peace to search for stolen goods. Your honors will find in the old books concerning the office of the Justice of the Peace precedents of general warrants to search suspected houses, but in more modern books you will find only special writs to search such and such houses, specially named, in which the complainant has before sworn that he suspects his goods to be concealed, and will find it adjudged that special warrants are only legal. In the same manner I rely on it, that the writ prayed for in this petition is illegal. It is a power that places the liberty of every man in the hands of every petty officer. I admit that special writs of assistance to search special places may be granted to certain persons on oath, but I deny that the writs now prayed for can be granted, or I beg leave to make some observations on the writ itself before I proceed to other acts of Parliament. In the first place, the writ is universal, being directed to all and single justices, sheriffs, constables, and all other officers and subjects, so that, in short, it is directed to every subject in the king's domain. Everyone with this writ may be a tyrant. If this commission be legal, a tyrant in a legal manner also may control, imprison, or murder anyone within the realm. In the next place, in perpetual, it is perpetual. There is no return. A man is accountable to no persons for his doings. Every man may reign secure in his petty tyranny and spread terror and desolation around him until the trump of the archangel shall entice different emotions in his soul. In the third place, a person with this writ in the daytime may enter all houses, shops, etc. at will, and command all to assist him. Fourthly, by this writ, not only deputies, etc., but even their menial servants are allowed to lord it over us. What is this but to have the curse of Canaan with a witness on us, to be the servants of servants, the most despicable of God's creation. Now, one of the most essential branches of English liberty is the freedom of one's house. A man's house is his castle, and whilst he is quiet, he is well guarded as a prince in his castle. This writ, if it should be declared legal, would totally annihilate this privilege. Custom house officers may enter our houses when they please. We are commanded to permit their entry. Their menial servants may enter, may break locks, bars, and everything in their way, and whether they break through malice or revenge, no man, no court can inquire. Bare suspicion without oath is sufficient. This wanton exercise of this power is not chimerical suggestion of a heated brain. This wanton exercise This wanton exercise of this power is not a chimerical suggestion of a heated brain. I will mention some facts. Mr. Pugh had one of these writs, and when Mr. Ware succeeded him, he endorsed this writ over to Mr. Ware, so that these writs are negotiated from one officer to another, and so your honors have no opportunity of judging the persons to whom this vast power is delegated. Another instance is this. Mr. Justice Wally had called this name Mr. Ware before him by a constable for a breach of the Sabbath day acts, or that of a profane swearing. As soon as he had finished, Mr. Ware asked him if he had done. He replied, "Yes." "Well then," said Mr. Ware, "I will show you a little of my power. I command you to permit me to search your house for uncustomed goods," and went on to search the house from garret to cellar, and then served the constable in the same manner. But to show another absurdity in this writ, if it should be established, I inspect upon every person by the 14 Charles II has this power, as well as the customs home the customs house officers. The words are, "It shall be lawful for any person or persons authorized, etc." What a scene does this open! Every man prompted by revenge, ill humor, or wantonness to inspect the inside of his neighbor's house may get a writ of assistance. Others will ask it for self-defense. One arbitrary exertion will provoke another until society will be involved in a tumult and in blood. Again, these writs are not returned. Writs in their nature are temporary things. When the purpose for which they are issued are answered, they exist no more. But these live forever. No one can be called to account. Thus, reason and constitution are both against this writ. Let us see what the authorities there is for it. No more than one instance can be found of it in all our law books, and that was in the zenith of arbitrary power, namely in the reign of Charles II, when the Star Chamber powers were pushed to extremity by some ignorant clerks of the Exchequer. But had this writ been in any book whatever, it would have been illegal. All precedents under the control of the principle of law. Lord Talbot says it better to observe these than any precedents. Though in the House of Lords, the last resort of the subject, no acts of Parliament can establish such a writ, though it should be made in the very words of the petition. It would be void. An act against the Constitution is void. But this proves no more than what I before observed, that special writs may be granted on oath and probable suspicion. The Acts of 7 and 8 William III that the officers of the plantation shall have the same powers, etc. It confined to this sense that an officer should show probable grounds, should take his oath of it, should do this before a magistrate, and that such magistrate, if he thinks proper, should issue a special writ to a constable to search the places. That of 6 Anne can prove no more.